question is being a lawn care business owner for me? So in short, I think that anyone can do it. It's just a matter of how willing you are to navigate all the different hurdles through the growing process. But if you have money from the very beginning to hire someone to do all the labor for you from the very beginning, and you'll skip a lot of the extremely tiring first stages. But that's not the reality for most people who get going. Most start with a full-time job. They'll work 8 hours there and then mow lawns for another 4 or 5 hours or do whatever kind of work they're doing. And then you got to do estimates, and you may got to make sure to answer all the phone calls or call people back. And then you're sending invoices. Then you're in charge of marketing, so you're always in that. Plus you're educating yourself, watching videos. You're doing all the things that the owner has to deal with, and that can lead to extremely long days. And so first thing you got to ask yourself is, am I willing to work 12, 18-hour days? If you're up for it and you say, I'm willing to grind and build something great, okay, you need to consider the people around you too. If you're newly married and your wife was picturing you working a 9 to 5 job, and you're going to now be working 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. just grinding on your business, are they on the same page? Are they willing to go through these hurdles? Because you're signing them up to go through this with you. If they need help around the house, or they get super stressed, let's say your wife is raising 3, 4, 5 little kids, if you're gone all day and they feel like a single mother, are they on board with that? Because that can really be the reality of how things turn out. If you're starting from scratch and don't even have a job already, and I'm starting my business, I don't have much money, and I'm just going to grind and make it happen, you're going to have some serious financial struggles, which is totally different. You got trucks and equipment and trailers, and if you actually want to grow, there's marketing dollars or tons of time and effort in that. There's insurance, just all the different things to grow the business. And as you grow, you're reinvesting back into the business. Maybe you start with crappy equipment and you need to upgrade to commercial stuff. Maybe your truck's a piece of junk and you need a little better one. Maybe you grow to the point you need a second truck and you're getting a second truck, and there goes a lot of your profits. My very first year, I think I only profited $4,000, and that's without even officially paying myself. So we lost money our first year. Second year, we profited $28,000, and that was without paying myself again. So we might have only profited $10,000 our second year. That's not enough to live on. I had a full-time job, so I wasn't as all in as I could have been if that was my only thing. But the first few years, financially, things aren't always great, because you're buying more trucks and equipment, and then you're eventually hiring employees, and then quite a bit of the money's going to them, and you really have to think about the financial struggles that might happen. Luckily, I had a full-time job until the business was paying me close to $100,000 a year, so I didn't go through a lot of the financial struggles. If I didn't have that, I can really imagine how tough it could be. But if you have the mindset of, in 5, 10 years, I'm going to grind and build this thing, so on the back, in the long term, I'm going to have this great asset that pays me, that's a good mindset. But you've got to make sure the people around you are on the same page as well, because there's going to be some struggles, financial and physically being tired and super long days. Now, when the company gets closer to, for me, it was about $500,000, you'll start to have, a lot more stress. You have hundreds of clients, you have quite a few employees, you're the man that everyone comes to. It's kind of all relying on you. If anyone's not happy, it falls on you. If you have to fire an employee, that's on you. If an employee doesn't show up and you just promised a client that we'd be there tomorrow, either you're filling in or you're apologizing. There's a lot of different situations. Trucks get wrecked, equipment gets stolen. It can be very mentally, straining and challenging. Lots of stress when you get a little bit bigger. So if you really value like having no stress, being an owner may not be for you. So for me, up until I started my business, I worked for a school district. I had really extremely low stress. I'd never even really experienced a lot of stress in my whole life. And so there are different stages in the growth of the company where I was grumpy a lot. I'd come home and it was hard not to just be grumpy with kids and wife. And it's like, my stress at work has nothing to do with them. It's hard to just leave it at the door. And so that's another thing to consider. So in the very beginning, you could be physically tired. Financially, it could be a struggle for years until you actually build to where you're actually generating hundreds of thousands in total revenue, and then you finally get paid reasonably. And then the stress level can be very high as well. So I know being an entrepreneur is, it can be glorified. And if you do things right and you grind and you put in your 5, 10 years of just building something on the back end, it can be really awesome. But it's not all, it's not all good. There are hurdles along the way. And you got to ask yourself, am I willing to go through the pain to make this happen? Or maybe even you need to think, well, okay, which stage am I willing to be? Am I okay to be physically tired and just do everything myself? Maybe that's for you. If you're willing to go through all these different stages and build something so eventually you have a team in place and the company runs itself, that's like the ultimate long-term goal in my opinion. That's kind of where I'm at. But you gotta figure out what you're willing to go through and what the people around you are willing to go through, because there are struggles along the way.